28, 2022 Board of Trustees regular meeting to order. Entertain a motion for the adoption of the agenda.
So moved.
Moved by Ms. Darby,
Second.
second by Ms. Green. Are there any questions? Hearing none, we ask that you please cast your vote electronically. Ms. Hedrick is online, correct?
I think she's got a drawing.
Okay. Okay, that motion passes. Entertain a motion for the approval of the minutes.
So moved.
Moved by Ms. Darby, second by Ms. Coates. Are there any questions? Hearing none, we ask that you please cast your vote. Okay, that motion passes. We're going to ask that you please entertain a moment of silence at the moment, please. Thank you. Okay, we ask that you please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, at this time, we'll have special recognitions. Dr. Taylor.
Thank you. Thank you, Chairman Mack, Vice Chair Waters in her absence, other members of the Board of Trustees, Mr. Kennedy, and all of our special guests here this evening. Good evening. Can you all hear me? No. Well, I will speak louder. Thank
There you go.
you.
There you go.
This afternoon for special recognition, we are excited to honor several outstanding educators and students. This afternoon, we have with us several of our outstanding student athletes and coaches who have won state championships in their respective sports during the fall and winter seasons. Several of our student athletes are unable to join us this evening due to their commitment to playing spring sports, but we will ensure that they receive their certificates and medals through their school's coaches and athletics directors. Now it's time to honor the South Carolina High School League state champions from the fall and winter seasons from Charleston County School District. You will notice that our student athletes present will be wearing special Board of Trustees state championship medals given to them tonight on behalf of CCSD to recognize them for their outstanding athletic accomplishments this season. First up, cross country, the James Allen Charter High School girls team. They're unable to be with us this evening because of other spring commitments. The Trojans won the 4A championship with a dominant performance in the state meet, beating second place Greenville by 61 points. This is James Island's second straight state title and third overall. Members of the team are Terry Ardmore, Avery Belt, Kira Borg, Anna Sophie Cruz, Chloe Gilbert, MK Huddleston, Alex LaRue, Alice Taylor, and Hannah Vroon. The head coach is Dave Lee, and the assistant coaches are Joe Eshelman, Chris Bolis, Ed Carson, Kelly Kimball, Carson Stewart, and Keith Bartleson. Jeremy Holland serves as the athletics director. James Island also had the individual state championship at the 4A level. Hannah Vroon, the sophomore, defended her title as well with a time of 18.5, 10 seconds better than her winning time last year. We have one more individual cross-county state champion from CCSD, Wando High School's Jake Weaver. He captured the 5A boys crown. The sophomore won the state meet with a time of 15.42 and became the Warriors' first ever individual state champion, boys or girls, in this sport. He's accompanied by his coach, Brett Davis, and assistant principal, Steve Leggett. Thank you. Now on to swimming. Kyle Hertwig of Academic Magnet High School won the South Carolina High School League 3A state championship in the individual boys 50-yard freestyle event for the second year in a row. His time is 21.41 seconds. Another Raptor won an individual 3A state title, Jack Troy. He captured the state championship in the individual boys 500-yard freestyle with a time of 4 minutes, 51.19 seconds. Academic Magnets coach is Jacqueline Healy, and Sharon Williams serves as their athletics director. The assistant coach is Daniel Hairline, and principal is Jake Perlmutter. They are all here to congratulate their student athletes.
Probably couldn't find parking. Yeah.
James Allen Charter High School's Luke Dixon won the gold in the 4A 50-yard freestyle finals thanks to his time of 4 minutes and 41.97 seconds. Katie Grace Grant Vandergrift became Lucy Beckham High School's first ever state champion in swimming when she won the 4A 100-yard butterfly in 58.91 seconds. She is coached by Beth Darby. I'm sorry. Wando High School continues to dominate girls swimming. The Warriors captured their 5th straight state championship, winning the 5A meet by more than 100 points. They now have 7 state titles overall. Members of the team include Sophie Fries, Gil Shaw, Eliza Baxter, Kendall Benson, Reagan Leach, Haley Sharp, Ely Lightfoot, Caitlin Macy, Maura Goodrich, Kate Green, Amada Friedel, Caroline Bierman. Cheryl Burden serves as the program's head coach, and Elisa Manchester is the assistant coach. Mark Buckman serves as Wando's athletics director. The Warriors won several individual and relay state titles in the 5A girls swimming meet as well. Sophie Fries finished first in the 100-yard backstroke thanks to a time of 56.11 seconds. Yep. Gil Shaw took the 5A crown in the 100-yard breaststroke for the second year in a row with a time of 1 hour, 4 seconds, 0.07. Sophie Fries, Gil Shaw, Ely Lightfoot, and Eliza Baxter combined to win the 5A state championship in the 200-yard medley relay with the time of 1 hour, 45.8 seconds. And Sophie Fries, Gil Shaw, Eliza Baxter, and Haley Sharp got the victory in the 400-yard freestyle relay state titles. Their time was 3 hours, 36 minutes, 0.58. The Wando Boys swimming program picked up a state title in the 5A meet as well. Charlie Green, Will Slowly, Mason Camp, and Chase Healy won the championship in the 200-yard medley relay. Moving to girls tennis, where Lucy Beckham High School has now won the 4A state championship in their first 2 years of existence. The Bengals took down AC Flora 4-2 in the finals. Members of the team include Piper Charney, Karen Rogers, Ava Dawson, Annie Wilburn, Lila Small, Roxy Caesar, Kayla Ferris, Grayson Rowley, Mackie Black, Blythe Meyer, Kate Daniel, Ellie Jitter, Ashley Smith, Grace Linmuth, Kathleen Cook, Mia Lebenow, Addie Branna. The head coach is Lisa Coates and athletics director is Scott McGinnis. And now to the winter season. The Military Magnet Academy girls basketball team. Became the first CCSD basketball team, boys and girls, to win back-to-back state titles in 42 years when they defeated Denmark Olar 35-20 in the 1A finals. MMA is also the first basketball team in CCSD since 1974 to appear in 3 state championship contests. Members of the team include Jasmine Bradley, Rakaya Jakes, Jataya Brown, Kaylin Davis, Todd Farrell, Zanaya Sanders Smith, Dejamari Pugh, Dream Watson, Jada Davis, Dejanara Williams, Morgan Richardson, Sabree Mitchell, and Ashanti Ray. The head coach is Nathaniel Taylor Jr., and the assistant coaches are Courtney Reed, Melvin Cooper, Rebecca Brown, and Sheldon Reed. Jean Ross serves as the school's athletic director. Please join me in giving one big round of applause.
Congratulations.
The National Association of School Nurses recently named R.B. Stahl High School's Kat Bozanan as an outstanding nurse for students with disabilities. Bozanan has been a school nurse at R.B. Stahl since the start of the 2018-19 school year and is in her 5th school year overall with the district. She supports school nurses across the district who work with students with developmental disabilities and medical complexities. This support includes working with the CCSD Nursing Services Department to develop best practices and policies that are safe and comprehensive for students with disabilities. While working with CCSD, she completed the LEND, which stands for Leadership, Education, and Developmental and Related Disabilities Fellowship at MUSC. During her fellowship, she wrote the manual, New School Nursing, a Model of Care to Meet the Needs of Students with Neurodevelopmental Disabilities. She has presented her manual at both regional and national conferences. She's going to be honored at the NASN National Conference in Atlanta in June. Please join me in congratulating Nurse Bozian. Last Friday, March 25th, CCSD officials surprised the district's top 5 finalists for the 2022 Teacher of the Year. This evening, we have our outstanding finalists with us. Natasha Akery is an English teacher from the Academic Magnet High School. Natalie Bennett is a 6th grade math teacher from Northwoods Middle School. Chaka Dasa Baban, or a 3rd grade teacher from Mitchell Elementary School. Ashley Pompaselli is a kindergarten teacher from James B. Edwards Elementary School. Corey Roberts is a 5th grade teacher from Meminger Elementary School. One of these finalists will take over the reins from the district's current Teacher of the Year, West Ashley High School teacher and coach, AJ Barnes, later this spring. Please join me in congratulating these outstanding educators on being named one of this year's top 5 Teacher of the Year finalists. In celebration of National Library Week and School Library Month, in April, we would like to read the following proclamation designating April 2022 as School Library Month for all public schools in Charleston County. Whereas the school library is to ensure that students and staff are effective users of ideas and information, and whereas the school librarian's role is to provide the leadership and expertise necessary to ensure that the school library is an integral part of the instructional program of the school. And whereas the Charleston County School District Board of Trustees has entrusted the school librarian in each school to teach skills of locating and using information throughout traditional resources and new technologies, to provide literature appreciation activities, and to guide and encourage content and recreational reading to every student. And whereas lifelong learning begins and is systematically developed through the school library curriculum of elementary and secondary schools. And whereas school librarians actively promote diversity and inclusion by carefully curating library collections that provide students mirrors with books that show and celebrate their own lives and cultures, along with books that offer windows to the world beyond their own experiences. And whereas the school library contributes to the individual growth and development of all students while fostering both excellence and equity in education. And whereas the school librarians of Charleston County have dedicated themselves to work for quality school libraries for all students, teachers, and the larger school communities, now therefore be it resolved that the Board of Trustees does hereby proclaim April 2022 as School Library Month in all of the public schools of Charleston County, and calls upon school administrators, teachers, and students and citizens Charleston County to recognize and support this action and to participate throughout the month of April in the celebration of School Library Month. Reverend Mack, this concludes the special recognitions for this evening. And for the parents and families who are here with our student athletes, please join your student in the courtyard behind the stage using the doors to the left. Thank you.
Okay, let's give all of our recipients another round of applause. Thank you so much. At this time now, I'll entertain a motion to go to convene into executive session. Properly move and seconded that we convene into executive session. I believe that we'll be moving to the break room area. So I believe you can bring your laptop with you so that you can refer to your information if you don't have printed copies. to open session. First up, we have item 6A.
Got a motion, Reverend Matt?
Okay,
I move that we allow the student to remain with no tuition until the end of the 2021-22 school year.
Second.
moved by Ms. Darby, second by Ms. Coates. Are there any questions? Hearing none, we ask that you please cast your vote. Is Ms. Hedrick back on? Is Ms.
I'm
Hedrick-
back. I'm back.
All right, great.
Ms. Hedrick, how does your consultant tell you to vote?
All right, that motion passes. Item 6B.
Reverend Mack, I have a motion.
Okay,
I move that the student remain with no tuition until the end of the 2021-22 school year.
Second.
moved by Ms. Darby, second by Ms. Coates. Are there any questions? Hearing none, we ask that you please cast your vote. That motion passes. Item 4C.
Mack, I've got a motion.
Okay,
I move that we refer the student back to the Department of Alternative Programs.
is there a second?
Second.
Moved by Ms. Darby, second by Ms. Green. Are there any questions? Hearing none, we ask that you please cast your vote. That motion passes. Item 4D.
Reverend Mack,
Yes,
I have a motion.
okay.
I move that we uphold the constituent board decision. Second.
Moved by Dr. French, second by Ms. Coates. Are there any questions? Hearing none, we ask that you please cast your vote. Ms. Darby. Okay, that motion passes. Item 6E.
I have a motion.
Ms. Darby.
I move that we keep the student's placement subject to review by the Department of Alternative Programs.
Second.
Moved by Ms. Darby, second by Ms. Coates. Are there any questions?
I have a question.
Dr. French?
Just to clarify, did you mean the IEP team?
No.
Ms. Darby, you want to repeat your
No,
motion? Or is it already posted?
No, it's not. It's not the IEP team. It's
Okay, I might be confused. Thank you.
yep.
Okay.
What is it?
All right, any further questions? Okay, hearing none, we ask that you please cast your vote. Okay, that motion passes. Is there a motion for item 6F?
Reverend Mack, I have a motion.
Okay,
I move that the board move forward with the ratifications and justifications of the projects listed.
Okay. Is there a second? Moved by Ms. Coates, second by Ms. Green. Is there any questions? Hearing none, we ask that you please cast your vote. That motion passes. Item 6G.
I've got a motion.
Okay, Ms. Darby,
Reverend Mack, I move that we move for approval on those items.
Okay.
Second.
moved by Ms. Darby, second by Ms. Green. Are there any questions? Hearing none, we ask that you please cast your vote. That item passes. Item 6H.
I've got a motion.
Okay, Ms. Darby,
I move that we continue with the IEAS placement while the school-based IEP team determines appropriate setting.
Second.
moved by Ms. Darby, second by Ms. Coates. Are there any questions? Hearing none, we ask that you please cast your vote. That item passes. Item 6I.
I've got a motion.
Okay,
I move that we overturn the constituent board's decision and refer the student to Turning Point Academy.
Second.
moved by Ms. Darby, second by Ms. Coates. Are there any questions?
Do you mind repeating the motion?
I move that we overturn the constituent board's decision and refer the student to Turning Point Academy.
Thank you. Sorry about that.
Any further questions? Hearing none, we ask that you please cast your vote. That item passes. Item 6J.
Reverend Mack, I've got a motion.
Okay,
I move that we overturn the constituent board's decision and refer the student to Daniel Jenkins Academy.
is there a second?
Second.
Properly moved in second. Moved by Ms. Darby, second by Ms. Coates. Are there any questions? Hearing none, we ask that you please cast your vote. Bless you. Okay, that item passes. Item 7A, public comments. Ms. Darby?
Yep, thank you. For public comments, we have a number of people who've signed up, but I think that only one or two have decided to speak. So the first person is Gary McCullough. I think, are we this podium up here? right there. To the left, your left of the TV.
Good afternoon.
Hold on one second. I think his mic's not on.
I think you
Good
just said,
afternoon. My name is Gary McCollum, and I have attended CCSD meetings since last July. I sent a letter to Chair Eric Nash, trustees, in early January. I would like to comment on two of my recommendations. My first recommendation was to reconfigure the CCSD meeting room. The meeting room currently has 2 rows for school board members, 3 rows for the superintendent and staff, and seating area in the back for the public. There's actually a sign behind the last row of the school staff that says, public access prohibited past this point, authorized personnel only. I would like to see this change such that freedom of access is restored to the public. I am accustomed to local government meetings where the board is seated at the front of the room facing the audience. I understand that such an arrangement existed in the past, but it was changed due to COVID restrictions and due to potential problems with crowd control. I would like to see a return to the meeting room arrangement that was used prior to COVID. And I asked the board of trustees to let the public know when to allow the freedom of access to the public. My second recommendation is actually the third and my left, is related to consultants that are hired by CCSD. And I spoke on this at the February 14th meeting. Of interest is the scope, the compensation, the philosophy of such consultants. Former Education Secretary William Bennett frequently notes, credited Plato, the 2 most important questions are, who gets to teach the children and what do we teach them? I believe consultants impact when children are taught, and the public should be made aware of that impact. And I ask the board again, when will you move on achieving transparency about consultants used by CCSD? Thank you for this time.
Thank you.
thank you. The only other person on the list is Roberta Smith. Is Roberta Smith here? Okay, I think that concludes our in-person public comments. And I think if we had, did we have any online comments for today's meeting? I didn't.
They were submitted.
Okay,
That was
so they were
submitted.
emailed to us. Okay, great. So they were emailed to us for us to review. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Ms. Darby. Item 8A is the superintendent's report. Mr. Kennedy?
Thank you, sir. So on the superintendent's report this evening, in the agenda item there, it's listed COVID update. We talked about, well, this is also the DOJ update and the ESSER update. I decided to expand the ESSER update number of slides for this evening, and then we will push the DOJ update until the April meeting because of that purpose. So I'll ask, next slide, please. Ask Mr. Burrow to talk about the COVID update, please.
Thank you, Mr. Kennedy. I'm very proud to report that we have no protocol slide today. Nothing has changed since the last meeting. It's the first time we've been able to say that, I think, since we started this whole thing. And that's evidenced by the low numbers we have here, showing only 14 cases last week. Charleston County is rated low in positive testing rate, as well as the cases per 100,000 people. So we're in real good shape. And we've got no issues in our school. The only thing I will add is that we have distributed home test kits to our schools, and there will be the availability of 2 kits, which includes 4 tests for each child that parents are able to pick up and use. So we're in real good shape.
Okay.
So I have Mr. Kennedy.
Thank you. And also, I apologize, we're also in the presentation, just a mental health services update. But next, Dr. Taylor will give an overview of some of the highlights from last week.
Thank you, Mr. Kennedy. Just some district highlights, and I'm going to present very quickly. We had 6 Charleston County schools. They received a recycling education grant from the Department of ECAT. Cooper River Center for Advanced Studies, James Down Carter High School, Lucia Becker High School, Malcolm University, Montessori School, Military Magnet Academy, and Wanda High School. Charles Higbee Elementary is sponsored by the Palmetto State Teachers Association Foundation for Professional Development and is awarded annually to encourage and support PSTA members in pursuing advanced degrees. Last month, students at Burke High School participated in a two-day virtual conference with diplomats, traditional chiefs, students from the Democratic Republic of the Congo via Zoom. According to Executive Principal Cheryl Clinton, Burke scholars are challenged to think deeply about how their traditions and culture transmit to modern culture. Staff members from Angelo Elementary School hosted a multilingual family fair on March 24th, 2022, with support from the district's Office of Translation and Interpretation Services and the ESOL department. Based on feedback from parents through surveys, the school created this event to provide families with reading and math materials that they can use at home, technology, health, and other essential items. Students at James B. Edwards Elementary School won the 3rd annual Charleston County School District Battle of the Books on March 5th. They competed against 12 other teams in a football answering questions from 20 books on the 2021-2022 South Carolina Children's Book Awards nominee list. Earlier this month, students from Academic Magnet faced students from Ashland Hall in a regional academic world-class competition at the Cooper River Center for Advanced Studies right here in this room. The Mad Lads, one of the teams from Academic Magnet, took home the top spot and advanced to the national competition in Washington, D.C., which will be held at the end of April. And Baptist Hill Middle High School is currently doing a 40 days of positivity challenge on their official school Facebook page. Each day, the page highlights the program and accomplishment or something else positive from their students and staff. If you have social media, we encourage you to follow what they're doing at Baptist Hill. And that includes some of our recent district highlights. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Taylor. And next, Ms. Jennifer Coker will give the update on the mental wellness.
Thank you very much. I wanted to give you an update on where we are on some of the mental health and wellness initiatives that we've begun. So in our elementary schools, we actually have ordered calming kits for all of our school counselors and our social workers, as well as our school psychologists. We have 15 entire elementary schools that every classroom will be receiving calming kits. Principals can still apply for those, and we process those orders weekly. And so the first round of 15 is on the way, and we'll do another order next Monday. So it's a continuous effort to move calming kits into the classrooms to provide a peace corner or a calming corner. We're also offering calming rooms for students and staff. Currently, we're in the process of outfitting 8 schools with student calming rooms. That's 5 elementary schools, 2 middle schools, and 1 high school. And we're doing 12 staff calming rooms across the district, 7 elementary, 3 middle, and 2 high. An update on our temporary employees that we're hiring as a reminder: school counselors, clinical counselors, social workers, licensed professional counselors. We've hired 12 temporary employees. They're currently working in 18 schools. So far, as of last Monday, they've served 131 students for 201 hours of service. Next slide, please. I wanted to give a brief overview of 6 years of mental health and wellness support across the district. So this chart shows you from 2016-17 till last Monday, the numbers of students we were serving with our various partners and initiatives. And so as you can see, this year, as of March 21st, we are serving 2,275 students in the various mental health and wellness initiatives that we have going on. At our last full school year without COVID in 2018-19, at the end of the year, we had served 2,383. So we are getting close to what we did in that whole school year, and hope to, in the next month, reach that number of students by continuing to add services. As I mentioned before, our team does meet every Monday and adjust services, and we onboard any new temporary counselors. We walk through the requests for the calming rooms and other requests that come to our team. And so I just wanted to make sure that you're aware that we continue to move forward and that we are definitely continuing to make progress.
Thank you.
So since we are having different presenters, Mr. Kennedy, throughout the slides, instead of trying to accumulate everything into one, I do have a question on the mental health portion of it, and we'll allow board members to ask questions from the different presenters that you have. So we can do that. So, Ms. Coker, can you just educate the board and give an example or a walkthrough of what a calming room is or what a calming kit is? So
Sure.
that we have a better understanding of exactly what's transpiring here.
Absolutely. So we have two different kinds of calming kits. The kits that are purchased for social workers, school counselors, and school psychologists actually have a rug and manipulatives and books where students who are having some type of anxiety or are upset can go meet with that person individually in a private location, and there are materials to make that a very comfortable, calming area. The classroom kits have manipulatives and some books in them so that the teachers can set up a corner or a place in their room where students know it's okay to go to when they're feeling a little bit upset or anxious, so that they don't have to miss instruction. And so the kits are mostly elementary based. We are using them in some of our special needs classes in middle and high school, depending on if they're appropriate, but they're really full of a lot of manipulatives and things that help students kind of just get that energy out, as well as, like I said, books on different topics about, calming down and breathing. And so there are also posters that go up in those little calming areas. So we're really trying to create a space within the classroom to teach students to regulate their own emotions, hopefully not pulling them out as much. Yes. And then the calming rooms for students, it can have various things like soft music. It can have little ball pits, for kids to play in. It can have coloring, even just a lot of tactile things for students to do that kind of changes their mindset. And then a person would process through with them once they're calmed down and talk to them about if they need to talk to a counselor about something, or if they just needed a chance to kind of self-regulate. And so each school sets up that process a little differently on how students access that calming room, and whether the process, most of those rooms are going, like you saw on the breakdown, we're pushing them in the middle and high schools particularly, because the calming kits aren't really appropriate, age appropriate. And then the staff calming rooms are really just a tranquil location for staff to, when they do have a break, to take a few minutes and just be in a quiet place where there's not a copy machine running or people coming in and out, to just give them a chance to reset between their classes. Same kind of things. Adults like to color, adults like to manipulate things. And so there will be some of that in there, as well as some yoga mats and various things like that. So they each, and comfortable furniture, each school designs their own calming room. We have a set of items they can order, and then they pick based on their space and design what they would like in that room for students and for staff.
Okay. All right. Ms. Coates?
So first off, my 4-year-old granddaughter did a breathing technique with me. She learned in school the other day. So y'all are all fired because I don't need that from a grandchild. She had just done a swan dive off the dining room table. So, but so if they're working, but I want to talk about how we're distributing them, because I want to make sure that there's a system. For example, 5 elementary schools and we have 47 elementary schools. Is the plan to have this everywhere? Is there some consistency we can put into having them everywhere, or have we selected which subset of schools will get them? Because I mean, when you see things, it's great, but when you see things like 5 and that's, less than 10%, I want to know how this works long-term.
Right. So actually for the calming rooms, I mean, we have to make sure there's space first.
Mhm.
And so that is a consideration. Some of our schools do not have a physical space for a calming room, which is actually why we began looking at the calming kits.
Mhm.
And that was for the elementary schools. They really wanted to focus on the calming kits in the classrooms first, because they feel like the students need to learn that skill. And so there's not an end date for this. They can continue to add this. So some schools are looking at their layout to see if there's even a shared space where the students and staff could have a shared room. And so that the calming room piece is a little harder for schools to kind of figure out. The kits, this is just the first round. The 15 we're ordering is just the very first round who got their their form filled out. We just did a professional development at the principals meeting last week with elementary schools, and we've already seen more coming in. We just need them to have a plan on how we're going to roll out the PD to the teachers on how to teach the students to use it. Just not hand them a kit and say, go for it. So there's a training process behind that, just helping the teachers understand what we want to talk to kids about before we just put those things in the room. So In ESSER, we have a budget to buy every school one. It's just that we're working with them as they're ready as a school to take this on. And so, like I said, I think as of this morning, there were already 7 more schools that I didn't have in this report.
I think what I heard you say is ultimately we have the capacity and the desire that this be in every elementary school classroom across the district.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, Ms. Copeland.
Thank you. Thank you. You knew that that's what I was gonna say. Thank you. I'm like Ms. Coates. So how do we get them everywhere? Is it something that are we offering it to them? Or we let them know that it's out there for the teachers to come in, for the principals to come and utilize it? And, just how can we make sure that parents know that maybe if it's something that the school needs, to let them be able to introduce it? So number one. Number two, are we, like, when we're doing it, this is nothing like we're going to pilot, are we? We're not going to do this like we pilot everything else. If they want it, they can come get it, right?
Correct. We're not doing pilots. It's any school that asks for it gets it. I think we ordered 589 kits maybe last week, which is those 15 schools. And so we do have like I said, a training plan for them. All of our Project Prevent schools will be added to the list. Their order just got put in this morning. So we are being systematic about where we're putting them, but we want to make sure that the teachers and the principals understand what's behind the purpose behind them. And so that was the reason we did put a flyer out to the principals for awareness. And then we did do a presentation at the elementary learning community meeting last week to talk and get questions and feedback. And so we'll continue to be available to any principals that want more information, but we do have a set slide deck we can send them to that's pretty easy to understand. And then we'll offer support. Our climate coaches are also speaking to their schools. If they haven't been signed up, they're talking to the schools about how to implement that. And if they want to get added to the list, many of the entries are coming from them after having conversations with the principals and the teams.
Yes, ma'am. Excuse me. And that was going to be like one of my questions, because like when I came on as a parent, having a kid, I offered that and wanting to know once we get them set up. I think one of the things was having people trained or having people educated. So the ones that are coming in, these temp employees, are these people that we're going to be placing in these rooms to learn how to utilize these or to be in these reset rooms with these children? Is that what we're doing?
So the temp employees are actually providing individual therapy to students. So they're not actually, if they want common kits, I told them we would certainly buy them for them. We have plans in the ESSER funding that was approved by the Audit and Finance to add some additional folks to help with the common room implementation. So as we meet with teams, if they don't have a person dedicated in the school to that, we do have a plan to help cover them through the planning of the ESSER funding. And really to build capacity, because the rooms and the kits are going to be here. So we just need to get everybody up to speed on how we utilize them. And it doesn't mean you have to have a person sitting in that room all the time.
Yeah, that's what I was saying too when I first, said that, and we think nobody has to be trained all the time. All right, the common kits, the common rooms, and I understand the space. Y'all looked in the common corners, that can just be something smaller too, like a smaller size in the classroom. Like everybody doesn't have a particular place for the entire room. And then we just have the kit, but then we have little common corners too. That.
And some schools are calling them peace corners, but yes, absolutely.
Thank you, ma'am.
Mhm.
Dr. Kennedy? I'm sorry, Mr. Kennedy? Oh, I'm sorry, Dr. French?
Yes, I just wondered, I know that sometimes our principals are overwhelmed and they don't necessarily ask for the things. Are you reaching out to schools where you feel like maybe this is something that is really needed to make sure they're aware and looked at the flyer?
Yes, ma'am. Our climate coaches and social workers are actively speaking to their MTSS teams and the principals about this availability of the calming rooms and seeing if they can make it work. And like I said, we're seeing multiple entries daily come in. So I think it's really, will be by the end of the year. Most of our elementary schools, I imagine, will have the kits in
So
place.
Are you able to use ESSER funding for this, or do you?
It's all in it's in the ESSER plan for mental health and wellness. Yes.
Okay, great. Thank you.
All right, Mr. Kennedy?
Thank you. Thank you. Next slide, please. So this is the ESSER update. So that's update tonight in 2 parts. One slide here is a brief update with several points here. To just give you an update as we move into towards April 25th. So as you recall, a few weeks ago, we did ESSER allocations out to schools. The schools having to April 1st to present their plans to back to central office staff. And then we have until April 25th to review those plans internally with the submitters and then bring the information to the full board on April the 25th. So again, these are just some brief updates here. That's the 3 district level programs are being refined to support reading on grade level by grade 5. So that is, we have, as you recall, three separate pillars to support that vision. And so there's some refinement being made to those plans. Number 2, principals and staff are coordinating and developing proposal for the recommendation for the recommended programs based on needs and vision. And so that, if you recall, that vision is around reading on grade level. So the allocation was based on the number of students that are reading below grade level at each school. Number 3, currently addressing broadband expansion in the rural areas. Number 4, prioritizing summer school, mental health, acceleration schools, and teacher incentives with extra $3. As Ms. Coker just mentioned with the mental health, that was presented to the Audit and Finance Committee earlier this month, and she's taken action on that in terms of expenditures. Number 5, principals and community-based organizations will meet to discuss specifics of various proposals. And number 6, school and district level recommendations and plans, again, will be presented to the board on April 25th. So a lot more detail on what's happening with extra $3 to be presented to the board on April 25th. Now, the next section here of the plan, if you recall, on January 24th, when staff presented to the board the vision of all students reading on the grade level by grade 5 by the year 2027, there were 3 pillars: instruction, rigorous instruction, talent, and wraparound services. If you also recall, underneath those 3 pillars were 2 horizontal bars. One said engagement and voice, and one said accountability and support. So tonight, the rest of this presentation will talk about a portion of the accountability and support. So, you know, and when we talk about initiating in education programs, initiatives, we talk about initiating those with fidelity. So the saying goes, if we don't implement with fidelity, we don't get good outcomes. So what this approach here is to try and get to a structure that we can implement with this fidelity. So achieving the reading vision using portfolio management to track strategy, implementation, and the student progress. Next slide, please. So achieving that vision, we're looking at so the strategy. Again, we know what the strategy is. There's funds, dollars that have to be used to manage those funds. We're not going to talk about that tonight. There's execution of the program, and then you take a look at portfolio and program management. We're going to talk about that tonight in performance management. And so the way we're thinking about a portfolio is a set of initiatives of programs that are gathered around a common theme. So for instance, we have several programs or initiatives for early childhood education. And so that early childhood education is a portfolio with several programs or initiatives within that portfolio. So we have around 7 or 8 portfolios in this vision that's going to be funded by ESSA funding as well as other funding. And then the other piece that we'll talk about tonight is performance management. Once we figure out a way how to manage all this complexity, how do we make sure that we have adequate goals, appropriate goals, and that we are able to track those goals. Next slide, please. Next slide. All right, so the CCSD Reading Vision Portfolio. So I mentioned how we manage based on portfolios, and these are the portfolios that we have. The first 3 are around the pillars that support the vision, and then we have one on community partnerships, one on acceleration schools that have been in place for a while, mission critical projects that have been in place for a while, accountability and support, and engagement and voice. Those last 2 are those components of the horizontal bars that I mentioned earlier that support those the vision. Next slide, please. So managing CCSD's reading vision using portfolio management and project management. So we want to make sure that there are a lot of initiatives and programs that are being designed for implementation. We want to make sure that there's a common approach across the district on how we define and initiate those key efforts. So as opposed to one project team saying, I'm going to take this particular approach in design, we want to make sure that all project teams have the same approach. We want to track project progress in a consolidated dashboard. So we will have a consolidated dashboard, have an example of that here in the presentation. So that is a common way, again, to be able to track progress on projects. Provide startup support and supplemental project management. Want to make sure that people that are going to be managing these initiatives and projects have the supports to do so. The fourth one, develop project and portfolio management skills and project leaders, sponsors, and other key stakeholders. So here in CCSD, the idea of a formal project management structure is just being introduced, and we need to make sure that staff have the understanding and professional development to move into this direction. And then not going to be shown tonight is how we will implement financial views, but that is being designed. And so at a future point, we'll bring to the board how we will manage these projects from a financial standpoint. Next slide, please. So the purpose of this slide is not for the audience to read. It's to give an example of how we're going to manage. And so again, this is a lot of data. And so we'll use, this is 4 or 5 slides that represent the project management dashboard. You see Charleston School District portfolio management, looking at the vision itself. And the key takeaways here, so every two weeks, there's staff that updates this, give it to senior leaders. And then on the front page, given each of the portfolio, give us an update on where we are, at high level on where we are with each of those portfolios. So if we know there's a problem, we understand what that problem is. That's the accountability piece. And then if there are problems also that the project teams need support on, that's the support. So accountability and support. Next slide. And then what the dashboard then does, instead of a summary, it lists each initiative, each project that's being managed, and it gives a status on where we are. Are we on track? Yes, it's green. There's concerns, yellow. If it's a check mark, it's complete. If there's a blank there, 0 with a line through it, there's no color in it, that means that that initiative has not started. And if it's red, then there's some there's some challenges. Again, the point of the presentation tonight is not for you all to understand in detail, just get a concept of how we're going to be managing this. And this management is internal to the district, again, every 2 weeks. Next slide, please. And so again, each portfolio has its section. So you can see here the wraparound services, community partnerships, accountability and supports, engagement and voice. And I think the last slide in this series here. Next slide, please. Yes, the mission critical that we talked about, acceleration schools, leadership, talent management, climate and culture. And so this is the concept that we were using to manage all these projects. And you see there's a ton of projects, a lot of additional resources coming in. And so need a way to, again, have a common way to manage those. Next slide, please. And then performance management. So this addresses metrics. So we have a vision. How do we measure that vision to make sure that we're on track to meet that vision? So we want to make sure that we have measures that we're looking at from a student standpoint, from families, from teachers, from schools. We need, we know where we want to be in 2027. That's 5 years out. And so what's the baseline? Where are we today in 2022? And then in the intervening years between 22 and 27, where do we need to be in each year? So the last section here, just how do we define all of that and roll through it. So I was given the next slide, please. So it says under construction. So this piece, like the project management dashboard I presented a few minutes ago, that is fully developed. So that is no longer under development. That is in action. This next section here, the last 2 slides, are on the performance management, and we're still developing this. So again, you take a look at the top of this slide. On the left, it says year 2027. And so what we will do, we will create a series of metrics, of performance measures that where we want to be in 2027 in each of these portfolios across the top, excuse me, where we want to be at across the top, reading level, the instruction, high quality staff, wraparound services, et cetera. So we will create where we want to be in 2027. Then come down to the bottom of the slide, 2022, where it says baseline. So the next step after we create where we want to be in 2027, we will establish where we are currently. What's the baseline? Where are the metrics, other measures where we are right now? So for instance, if we want to have 90% of our kids in 2027 reading on grade level by 5th grade, and we know today then we only have roughly 50%. So the 50% would be the baseline. And then we will establish our targets in 23, 24, 25, and 26 and where we want to be moving towards that 2027 target. Again, under construction, not complete yet. And the last slide here on that is that once we have that done, have those measures done across those 5 years, and then for each year, we will have a dashboard similar to this that again shows the 2027 target of what is the target for the current year. And so for next year, for 2023, we will have a target specific to each measure. And then we will have the actuals, that's the target, where are the actuals, and then the notes, where the notes might be. So again, these two slides, they are complementary to the dashboard, the project management dashboard. And then the third section that's not being presented today, which is also complementary, would be the financial view. So we would have, we're developing a financial dashboard to match what we're trying to get accomplished in the project management dashboard. Next slide, please. Question, please.
All right. Are there any questions for the superintendent's report? Ms. Coates.
I like the project management style. Pretty easy to read once you look at it. Thank you. That's really good. So backing up to one of the very first things, and I'm sorry it's taking me so long. I have 2 questions. On your very first slide with the ESSER 3 update, our schools, I'm on page 5. The second bullet point says proposals for recommended school-based programs, and just checking the terminology. And then the last one is partnering the schools with the entities that have already put in proposals. Are schools picking from a library of proposals, picking out their own and creating their own programs to submit to y'all, or a combination of both?
It's a combination.
Thank you. And then the last question is on page, I'm sorry, it's not, but the reading vision progress, the one that's got the blue. Are these 2027 goals? Are these the goals or examples of the goals you're thinking of, or are these the ones?
So these are not the goals. That's why I have under there, under construction.
So even the ones that say 2027 is just for example.
That's correct.
Thank you.
All right, Dr. French.
Thank you. One thing on page 14, when you go into performance metrics, I was wondering if you're thinking about looking at some leading indicators that we can use on a very frequent basis to make sure we're headed in the right direction, the kind of thing that helps us pivot if we need to, that can predict whether or not we're going to get the results we're looking for that year, for instance.
Yes, Ms. Belcher has cautioned me to make sure that we do exactly that, the leading indicators.
Okay, great. And then the second thing is a bit related to Ms. Coates' question. So the vision obviously is to have 100% of our students reading at 5th grade level by 2027. What is a more realistic, achievable goal within that vision? I'm concerned. I mean, I think maybe the board needs to help come up with this goal, but I think we need some help from the staff to understand what's achievable, and so that we aren't setting ourselves up for failure, but we are also doing the best we can for all of our students.
Exactly. I mean, that's why we're taking time, Dr. French, to make sure that we are able to be very deliberate on the goals that we set for 2027 and also all the indicators in between now and then. What we want to be realistic and at the same time, we want to be aggressive. We have a lot of children in the district, a lot that aren't able to read on grade level. And if we don't get them there, then there's going to be negative outcomes for them later in life. And so we want to be aggressive and realistic at the same time. And so we've been deliberate on that, and we'll definitely be bringing more, coming back to the board without thinking on what those measures should be.
All right, thank you.
All right, any further questions for Mr. Kennedy? All right, thank you, Mr. Kennedy, for your report. Item 9A.
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve the reallocation of funds as shown on the attached resolution.
Second.
Moved by Ms. Green, second by Ms. Darby. Are there any questions?
We have, is this the 9A, the capital maintenance and 8%?
Right.
Hearing no questions, we ask that you please cast your vote. Just let the minutes reflect that Dr. Frazier's has left the meeting.
I believe Ms. Herdrick had to get off the Zoom as well.
Is that accurate? Ms. Hedrick is not longer on? Okay, so Dr. Frazier and Ms. Hedrick had to leave the meeting. All right, our motion passes. Item 9B.
Mr. Chairman, I motion to approve the reallocation of funds on this item as well.
Second.
Moved by Ms. Green, second by Ms. Coates. Are there any questions? Hearing none, we ask that you please cast your vote. That item passes. Item 9C.
Mr. Chairman, I motion to approve the reallocation of these funds as outlined on the attached resolution.
Second.
Moved by Ms. Green, second by Ms. Darby. Are there any questions? Hearing none, we ask that you please cast your vote. That item passes. Item 9D.
Chairman, I motion to approve the reallocation of these funds as shown on the attached resolution. as well.
Second.
Moved by Ms. Green, second by Ms. Darby. Are there any questions? Hearing none, we ask that you please cast your vote. That motion passes. Item E, 9E.
Mr. Chairman, I'm sorry. Motion to approve the reallocation of funds as shown on the attached resolution.
Second.
Okay, moved by Ms. Green, second by Ms. Darby. Are there any questions? Hearing none, we ask that you please cast your vote. And that item passes. Item 9F.
Move for approval.
Second.
Moved by Ms. Green, second by Ms. Darby. Are there any questions? Hearing none, please cast your vote. Okay, the item passes. Item 9G,
Move for approval.
Second.
moved by Ms. Green, second by Ms. Coates. Are there any questions? Hearing none, we ask that you please cast your vote. Okay, that motion passes. Item 9H,
Move for approval. And this
is there a second?
Second.
Moved by Ms. Green, second by Ms. Darby. Are there any questions? Hearing none, rest, please cast your vote. We're almost there. Motion passes. Item 9I,
Mr. Chairman, I motion to approve the attached resolution.
Second.
moved by Ms. Green, second by Ms. Darby. Are there any questions? Hearing none, ask that you please cast your vote. Motion passes. Item 10A, B, and C is for information only. Are there any questions in either one of those categories? Hearing none, we'll move down to item 11A. The appointment of ad hoc committee superintendent search. For information purposes, I've asked Ms. Green to chair that along with Dr. Frazier and Ms. Darby to serve on that committee. Are there any questions in reference to the ad hoc committee superintendent search?
Reverend Mack,
Yes.
is the plan to bring a recommendation for search committees to the April 25th meeting?
May I ask that?
I was actually asking the ad hoc chair.
As soon as
Sure.
y'all send me y'all's recommendations, we can do that.
Oh, you were waiting on that one, weren't you?
Oh, yes, I
Yeah, you were
was.
waiting on that one.
Yes, I just want to follow up with my request to you to send me your recommendations. We will meet probably next week, and if we don't have them, we can certainly make a decision with the three of us. So it's up to y'all.
Okay, so we're pleased to ask that you please send those recommendation that you may have to the ad hoc chair, Ms. Green. Item 11B is the appointment of the council of Great City Schools Governance Training. I've asked Ms. Hederick to chair that committee along with Ms. Waters and Dr. French. Are there any questions there?
I need to add something if you don't mind.
You want to add something?
No, I wanted to just say something.
Oh, okay.
Ms. Hardrick asked me to convey to the group to please respond to her email about the meeting dates that we had to adjust for our training.
The two-day training.
Yes,
Yeah,
the
okay.
two-day training. So if you can let her know right away, then we can coordinate with CGCS and AJ Grabo.
Got it.
Thank you.
Okay, item 11C is the strategic plan postponement that's listed there. Are there any questions?
Reverend Mack,
Yes.
I have two questions.
Okay.
One is, it's information, so it's not something the board has to make a decision on.
Mhm.
And then the second thing is, can you kind of, is this so we can get the ESSER recommendations from the schools? I mean, is that what this justification is trying to say?
Yes, ma'am, as well as make sure that, As we know, we are up for accreditation next year, it's our 5-year accreditation. So just making sure that we align all of our plans and processes together. I can say though, however, that our schools are very far along, and so we will continue to work with them because as a part of the process, they have to renew every year.
And what are you asking, how long are you asking for the delay?
We wanted to, once we made you all so as a part of the process, we have to make you aware and make sure you're knowledgeable about the request to delay. And then we were going to come back and let you know what the length of the delay is.
So this is to kind of coordinate some of the ESSER funding
Yes.
as well as align some resources in preparation of the accreditation process next
Yes,
year.
ma'am.
Okay, item 12A.
May I
I'm
ask
sorry.
a question?
Who's asking? Oh, Dr. French.
Dr. French. You know me, I always have a question. I just wanted to know, will you be able to complete this in time for it to inform the budget this year for the next fiscal year? Do you anticipate a delay longer than, say, a month?
Yes.
Yes. Yes, ma'am.
So you do anticipate a delay longer than 1 month?
Yes, we do.
Okay, but you've known about, I guess I'm concerned that we're delaying it so far. If we're trying to align all of our funding, how is this going to impact our budget for next year and making sure that we're in line to meet these 5-year plans?
So the alignment of the budget, so we don't, once we have a new 5-year plan, then we can align each year's budget. As I think you all know, we're trying to make sure that we figure out how do we do what I call an all funds budgeting. And so historically, we budget the general operating fund. We look at every major grant comes in, Title I, ESSER dollars, all our major grants, and we look at them as separate programs, as opposed to taking a look at a vision across the district, this case, vision of reading, and then looking at all the funding sources, and then being able to align all those funding sources to support that vision. So if you remember, probably at least 2, maybe 3 presentations that either I've made to the board or Dr. Postaway, there's a slide that has a number of circles. Those circles overlap, and each circle represents a program. So if you take a look at what I presented on the dashboard this afternoon or this evening, all those programs have different funding sources. And so it's very complicated to be able to, just in the short time period we have right now to develop the fiscal year 2023 general operating fund budget to bring all that to bear. I'm taking to the Audit and Finance Committee next Tuesday of next week, a preliminary set of numbers for general operating fund budget for next year. So it's not possible to bring all that together and to impact just this upcoming budget. But by this time next year, we will have all of that together, and so it'll be a comprehensive look.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Kennedy. Item 12A is textbook spring 2022 that was approved at the beginning of the meeting on the consent agenda item. Our next meeting is the committee of the whole meeting and the regular board meeting, and that's because of spring break. So it's prepare yourself. It'll probably be a long, lengthy meeting, knowing that ahead of time, you can plan accordingly. That will be on the 25th. And let me just say to staff and to everyone that coordinate us moving from 75 Calhoun and being able to be in this venue today. I know a lot of time, a lot of effort went into the preparation and the setting up with the communication piece. And thank you so much for what you have done here. It'll be nice. You know, maybe in the future we can go to West Ashley CAS
Yeah, we're good here.
and have the same setup.
We're good here.
Yeah. But thank you so much for the coordination piece. I will now entertain a motion for adjournment.